Hello engineers. So in the previous lesson, or one of the previous lessons, you learned how to create a keychain that looks like this, and I used a Kirby character as the example. What you can do now with that same exact graphic that you created before is turn it into a two-layer laser cut piece of art. It doesn't need to be a keychain, it could just be something to look at, something to hang on your wall, or it could be a keychain. So with that being said, let's start with what we already have, which is the keychain we just made previously. So open up that file, whatever the name might be, and you're going to then zoom into your picture. And what we want to do is we want to get rid of the outlines that we made and just keep the black line art that we have from previous. And then we're going to go to File and we're going to click on Save As, because this is no longer going to be a keychain. I mean, it can be a keychain, but I'm going to keep the character name there, and I'm going to type in layered laser art cruise. I'm going to save it as that so I know that I'm going to use it as a layered piece of artwork like this example. Logos are really great for this because they're simple and pretty easy to recreate. But let's continue with our Kirby characters. So here we have just the black line art from before. And what we're going to do is we're going to create the outline of it, the cut outline. So we do that by clicking on the square tool, drawing a square over that, and I'm going to just adjust this. And I'm going to click on a color. Color doesn't really matter. So once you've selected a color, that color should be full and covering your art. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to drop it down, layer lower to bottom. And then using the paint tool, I'm going to click on the paint tool. I'm going to click on a different color. Click on that blue there, or click on that empty space in the green. Click on selector and then move that out of the way. And now I have basically what I can then use the node tool for to delete this perimeter. So I'm going to click and drag across those nodes to highlight them, and using the delete key on the keyboard, I will delete them. You can even just click on them individually and then press delete on the keyboard. Okay. And now again, selecting the selector tool, I'm going to click on this none and then right click on red to set the stroke. In order to see the stroke, I'm going to go into the menu here, go to fill and stroke, and then go to point. For right now, I'm going to leave it on 1 so I can see it. And then I'm going to delete this green background. Okay, so what we need is, we don't need, how do I want to do this? I think I want to do it like the Gengar. Let me show you that. So here's what I'm talking about. So we need one layer to be the red outline with blue lines for this engraving, and then we're going to have one as cut lines so that we can stack it as a layer like so. And that's just a really cool effect. This is layered laser art. So if you want to Google image search or search on your preferred browser, you can search for layered laser cut art and you'll find many examples, much more complex and intricate examples of this type of laser art. So just to make sure we're crystal clear on what you can do, if you have line art that's thick line art like this, there's not any sketchiness to it. And what do I mean by that? For example, an image like this is just not going to work right. This would be a great engraving with a solid background, but it's not going to create a good layered art. There's not enough thick lines, or there's way too many small lines that the laser would just burn through. You would not get a really good laser cut art piece out of this. So keep it simple, stick to simple graphics. So again, simple, the simpler the better. So a nice piece of art like this, that's going to work really, really effectively and come out like this, or even like the keychain we've made previously. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take that black line art, and you're going to then click on None, and then you're going to find the RGB blue, and you're going to right click and set the stroke there. And that's going to then, we're going to adjust the points in a moment, and then we're going to duplicate that. So you can press Control D one time on the keyboard, or right click duplicate, and you're going to move that off to the side. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to select one of those and then select the red line art, and then click on the menu here, find Align and Distribute, click on, make sure that says selection area, and then vertical and horizontal centering. Click on your blue. Well, actually, we can just click and drag across both of those, and then go back to the menu, fill and stroke. The stroke style should be on point PT, and that should be 0.072. Enter. And then the blue lines here, that also should be 0.072, but these are going to be cut lines, so we're going to hover over the red right here. Red, make sure that it's the same code. Right click, set stroke. Those will be cut out, like you saw in the Gengar example. And then just move them near each other, but don't stack them on top of each other. And since this is a more intricate piece, it's too small, so that height is too small. Let's make it 4. Zoom out a little bit. And then highlight all that. Let's just make sure our points didn't change, and they did. It's 0.072. Okay. And then what's going to happen is the laser will cut out the red lines. It'll cut out the red line on this one, but what it'll do then when the blue, it'll just draw those, it'll just engrave those lines. It won't go back and forth left and right. It'll actually draw those. And I would highly encourage you to watch that. And we're putting those lines on so that we can align all the parts and pieces onto that layer of wood, so that we can glue it with some, either some wood glue or some super glue. And I am a little bit concerned about some of these pieces. This might be way too thin, but that's kind of where the art part comes in. We need to see it and see what happens. There are some very thin parts of the Gengar that worked out fine, so this might be okay. I would say anything like smaller than this, thinner than this, might not be great. And in order for me to see how thick this piece of wood's going to be, I could go in and click on circle and then like draw a little circle that fits here. And make sure it's a proportion circle, because the diameter is going to tell me this is 0.035 inches. Or if I drop this menu down, it'll tell me it's 0.8 millimeters. So that's kind of pushing it. That's going to be really thin. But I don't really know. Let me get rid of that. You don't want that. I don't really know until I try it on the laser. Because I've been able to cut very, very thin, intricate pieces of artwork. So now you have your blue line art, you have your red outline on the Kirby, or whatever your character is, and then the red cut line. This will be all done in one shot. So again, go to File, make sure you save it, email me this file, and then I will walk you step by step through the process of getting this laser cut on our machine.